So sure, in theory, there's all this dust out there that could totally tear us apart. But what if there's not? What if we get lucky?
Yeah, what if we get lucky? Exactly. Yeah. It's like, what if there's just no meteorites?
There's space dust out there somewhere, but on the specific path we're going to take, maybe there's not.
Maybe there's a planet. Hello. This is the 265th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2226, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. I'm a little excited. Not because we're no longer lost in space.
Though that is part of it, of course.
We're still very much lost in space.
Yeah.
But we're finally entering a new solar system.
Yes, we are.
And it's getting day again.
Right. For the last couple of weeks, we had just darkness through the windows. So, of course, there were lights on board ship. We could have a daytime, the lights would be on, nighttime, they'd be off, and so on. But exactly, actual sunlight coming through the window, that's something really nice to have.
You can feel the heat.
Yeah, the warmth.
Yeah, it's really sitting behind your window, basking in the sun. We haven't had that in a while. It's pretty cool. So we're still lost in space. We're still traveling in a certain direction where we think is home.
Yep.
I've lost track of how many weeks.
I think 6 now.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But we're not losing faith. We're enjoying ourselves and we're celebrating things like this. A new planet.
Right. And not just you and I celebrating, but there's a huge party going to be happening pretty shortly.
Yeah.
That we're going to go along to.
And the party is on the nighttime side of the ship.
Right. Yep. The idea being, party starts there in the nighttime. Then as the ship gets closer to the star, there's basically timing, have like a few hours of party and then, hey, the sun comes up.
Yep.
On that side of the ship.
And then, the ship is still slowly rotating anyway, so that side of the ship will still have a sunrise.
Exactly.
So it's going to start when it's completely night on their side and then slowly get a sunrise. And the nice thing is, the sun will rise and then it's going to be like early morning and then we're going to be tired. We're going to go back to our side of the ship. Where
exactly, it works out well for us.
Where it's night, so we can get a few hours of sleep in.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to this. Yep. So the big band is playing, and it's not the ballroom where they're usually playing. They're actually playing in the venue, which is quite a bit smaller. I think they've opened up a few of the passenger cabins, kind of like a walking party. So going to see how that turns out.
Yeah, and hopefully there'll be another the reading of the second chapter. They haven't actually really chosen a title. They're still just calling it A Song of Ice and Fire, Book 6. At some point, hopefully, they give it a title of its own. But either way, reading of the second chapter might be happening as well tonight.
Oh, cool! Spoiler. Didn't know that. Yeah, so that's what's going on. But at the same time, of course, we're not. I'm saying we. Everybody on the ship is not really settling for. We'll just be lost forever.
No.
The main reason we are lost is that we can't have our super fast space travel anymore.
Exactly, because the Trailblazer ships still book.
Yes.
And so we can't ride the sea-beam paths as we were.
Yeah, for the people that are new or need a bit of a fresh up, the super fast space travel uses sea-beam paths. They exist through space. You can go through them super fast, go somewhere really quickly, but there's a Trailblazer ship in front of it that clears the path. So this basically gets all the debris out of the way, so the actual ship can go through smoothly.
If you try and travel without that Trailblazer ship, the random space dust and so on will just tear our ship apart.
Yeah,
which would not be good for us.
No. It's good that they figured that out up front. But because that ship is broken, we can't do this. So theoretically we could. It would just be very risky. Yeah.
So like you say, instead of some folk are kind of enjoying being, basically having a pause from a break from life. From their regular daily life. But for the most part, folk do want to get home. So the crew's been looking into different ways of traveling much, much faster than we are, hopefully, so that we can get home sooner.
Exactly. And then, there are, I think, many different options. I think something we'll need to figure out whichever option we choose, which is the direction.
That's really important.
Because we could go really fast in a direction, it might be the wrong one. Yeah. But then again, if we go really fast in one direction, we find out it's the wrong one, we go then really fast in a different one. At one point, we'll start to recognize things.
Hopefully. And actually, so for two of the, like we're going to discuss in a moment, 3 of the ways that are being looked into, like 3 of the methods, and by 2 of them, it really matters which direction you're going. One of them actually, though, it doesn't.
Yeah, true.
But we can talk about that more in a sec.
Yeah, I think the idea is like, we were already doing space travel before we knew the C-beam pod technique.
Exactly. So these were things that had already been researched and so on.
Exactly. I mean, of course, we were already in space. Even some of our ships had already left the solar system back in the days. That's what we're using now. Basically, let's say slow space travel. And there were, like you're saying, some ideas back then of how fast space travel could work that we didn't end up using. But of course, if the only alternative that we have is not do anything, why not just look into these again?
Yeah. Maybe we can't, maybe someone works out, like has a breakthrough, works out, oh yeah, we could do this, but then we don't have the equipment on board to actually make whatever's needed. Maybe the food congos can't be repurposed to that extent.
Yeah, fair enough.
But still, to know it is pretty useful, because then maybe we come across a planet, or someone else out here who can, basically maybe it's still possible to use that technique.
But that's actually a good point. I hadn't thought of it like that, because then if we've always wanted to use technique A, but it was always just a theory because we don't have material something, or not enough of it anyway. And now we bump into a planet that is full of it.
Could be possible.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
And also, if we've always been trying to do things a certain way, which we can't now, we're forced to try other things that may have sounded crazy but actually work.
Yeah.
But so what are the 3 techniques again?
Right,
You're on a passenger council. You probably discussed this.
Exactly. We had an official meeting even going through them. I mean, the meeting was really to come up with better names for them, like a branding type thing. But okay, that was the point of the meeting. But to do that, first we needed to actually talk about what they were. So at least I got freshened up on that, and now of course I can tell our listeners. So the 3 methods. The first one's hyperspace. Second one's warp drive. Third one's spore drive.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've heard them.
Yeah, and shall I briefly explain them for our listeners? Or not bother? They may also know, these are theories that have been around a while, so they may already know them.
Can't hurt.
Okay. So hyperspace, that's the idea where it's a different type of space where when you go into it, you can travel, for example, say there you travel, 1,000 kilometers, and then out here you've traveled 1,000,000 light years or something. So the idea is you somehow enter this hyperspace, do a bit of traveling in there, but then when you exit hyperspace, you're somewhere else, much further away.
Cool.
That's the idea of that.
Sounds smart.
How to get in there, whether it even exists, these are details that need to be worked out. How to get out again as well, if it does exist. How to navigate in there, there wouldn't be the regular stuff. There's all kinds of questions, but either way, that's the theory. Warp drive, that's a thing where the ship, in our case the ship we're in, generates a bubble, not of soapy water, but generates a warp bubble around itself, which means that it somehow slips from one part, can move. It's not really friction as such, but let's pretend there's friction in space. It basically reduces the friction greatly, so that it's possible to slip from one part of the universe to another much faster.
Oh.
That's warp drive. And so both of those, you need to know a direction, because you're heading somewhere. The one which doesn't require that necessarily, if it works, is spore drive. The idea of that is you use the mycelial network, which is basically mushrooms in space, because mushrooms, or fungus, not like actual mushrooms, but anyway, fungus is everywhere, including in the vacuum of space. The vacuum of space isn't 100% empty. There is stuff going on. So, and that makes a network over everything, or spanning everything in the universe. The idea is it's a little bit similar to hyperspace, but instead of having to travel, the idea is you somehow go into it and then instantly appear somewhere else. It's as if the fungus is you're going in there, it's remembering you, and then it's remembering you somewhere else, and then you're there.
Sounds a bit like space teleportation.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, the effect would be there, yeah. So that's the thing where you don't necessarily you need to know where you want to go. You need to know the destination, but you don't need to know where it is relative to where you are now.
Oh.
So that's the one that has the most, for all of these, how do you even do them? But that's the one that has the most promise, because we know where we want to be, just don't know where we are now. So
okay.
That can work out.
And for the Spore Drive, we don't need to know how to get there. We just need to know that that's where we want to go.
In principle. No one's actually used this. It's theoretical, so, but that's the idea.
I mean, initially when you were describing the hyperspace, that sounded...
that's better as well. Like needing to travel less to get far, but you still need to know where you're going.
But it also sounded more like... I think at least with Warp Drive and Spore Drive, it sounded like we need to develop technology.
Right.
And with hyperspace, it's just we need to find out where's the hyperspace.
In principle, yeah. I mean, the idea of it is that the reason that's possible is because the laws of physics are different in hyperspace.
Yeah.
So then the issue is if there's two different, can we even survive there? Will our ship just dissolve into bubbles or something,
Okay, and I guess we still need some technology
well, it's all theoretical. Maybe it's totally fine in there. You can totally just... Maybe there's air in you. You can just walk around in there like without even wearing a spacesuit, Don't know.
You can do hyperspace on foot.
Maybe. Exactly. You walk a few meters, come out the other side. Hey, I'm on Earth.
Wow, that's actually pretty cool. Never thought of that. I always imagined hyperspace to be something you do with a space vehicle, but maybe you can do it on foot.
Maybe.
Or at least on a spacesuit.
Yeah.
Maybe you can swim into
really
space
nice.
through hyper.
Right, maybe it's not air, maybe it's liquid of some kind.
I mean, maybe you just swim like 500 meters, but that still has...
Get you home.
Wow. Cool.
Just don't save anything for the way back,
I think this sounds... I mean, they all sound relatively unrealistic if you ask me.
Sure.
But this one is just... If we just find out how to get into this hyperspace, then we can basically swim home.
Right? I mean, which for those who enjoy swimming would be fun just for itself.
Yeah.
The Spore Drive, like I say, in principle, that one's even more instantaneous. Like really, you just get remembered by the fungus and then remembered somewhere else. But yeah, again, how do you get to that stage? That's the trick.
And also, maybe...
Right, with hyperspace, one theory is also, one way is for us to develop some way of getting in there. But what if other aliens have worked this out in the past, and maybe if we're lucky we come across a planet or somewhere where they've left behind a gate or something, a way of getting into hyperspace.
Ooh.
I mean, that's really we need to get exceptionally lucky, but there's a chance.
I mean, the thing is the space locusts got here.
Indeed.
Right? I mean, not here anymore, but,
but
they were somewhere.
Yeah.
So they must have found some way, maybe hiking on another spaceship.
Right, that's what we were thinking, exactly gone aboard another ship that was traveling this way.
Yeah, but also maybe they found the entrance to some of these things. Because like with the Spore Drive, it sounds the less risky because you're just suddenly somewhere else. It's a little less time of things to break. But just the more tricky to actually get into. Yeah, okay. So on the ship there's a rumor where they're trying to combine all three.
Right, because maybe it's possible, just as an example, maybe you can only access one through the other. So like the mycelial network, to make use of the Spore Drive, maybe that's located within hyperspace.
Like and you need the warp bubble around you to be able to go through it effectively.
Maybe. That's exactly, maybe you need the warp bubble to get into, through the gate or whatever it's going to be, and to get out again. Maybe also, say, for example, in hyperspace, you need to travel much less distance, to travel a greater distance out here. Great. But we were talking about swimming earlier. What if it's so thick? Like I was saying, how the warp bubble reduces the friction, as it were.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not really maybe that's more necessary there.
Okay.
So maybe it would need to be a combination of them.
And also, in the opposite, if it's not thick, but the opposite of thick, that it can also be dangerous.
Of course, vacuum kind of has a lower limit, but maybe, but that's with our laws of physics, and maybe that's so different there, it really affects things. Maybe the bubble is required to keep the ship together, because otherwise it would disperse.
I like the thought of it, though. At least it seems to be that they're putting some creative thinking in.
Yeah.
And then at the end we'll have the hyper warp spores,
which would sound cool.
Yeah, and especially if the warp needs a bubble, you'll have the hyper warp bubble spore, something like that.
Like I say, we were discussing, so we didn't get far with coming up with good brand names for these things. It was but that wasn't the point of the meeting. The point of the meeting was to arrange the framework for discussing the names. So we'll get there.
Did he? Do you know if anybody, maybe in engineering, is trying to come up with new ideas, like not just the CMB parts or not the hyper?
So because exactly with these three proposals. We were given by the crew. I presume they are working. The engineers are working on other stuff, but we weren't told about them.
Okay.
And we didn't get like any rumors or anything.
I guess it's like with product development. They're constantly iterating on things, but only if they get to a point where they're saying, yeah, this could be something, they'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. There are some people that are saying, let's use the CB parts anyway, right?
Yeah,
just do it without a Trailblazer ship.
Right, give it a chance. Yeah, so sure, in theory, there's all this dust out there that could totally tear us apart. But what if there's not? What if we get lucky?
What if we get lucky? Exactly. Yeah. It's like, what if there's just no meteorites?
There's space dust out there somewhere, but on the specific path we're going to take, maybe there's not.
Maybe there's a planet.
Yeah. It's so sure. Some people are, I guess, very what's the word? They take risks in general. So this seems like a good idea to them, but for the most part, what's going along with it.
There's also there's a lot of people on this ship. You can't just say, there's 400 people that don't like it, but let's risk it anyway. Yep. I don't know. Everybody has, But one interesting thought that I heard was, okay, the Trailblazer ship can't clear the path. Isn't there another way?
Right. So one idea was to fit a whole bunch of vacuum cleaners to the front of the ship to suck up all the space dust.
Yeah.
So that it's not in front of us anymore. But that's an idea. At the velocities involved, the speeds involved, that doesn't work.
I heard
the space dust would tear apart the vacuum cleaners.
I heard the idea that if we get to a solar system that has a really small sun, to tie that in front of the Trailblazer ship, so not ours, but the Trailblazer ship. Guessing that the sun will burn through everything.
Yeah, either burn through or its gravity would suck all the whatever dust or whatever into it, so that it wouldn't be any more in front of it. The regular Trailblazer finds a path and basically pushes aside all the debris. And this wouldn't push it aside, but it would basically collect it all into the small star itself. But either way, it would not be in our path anymore.
But then if it attracts stuff, it might just at one point block the whole path because it's full with planets and asteroids and all kinds of space debris that the sun attracts. Instead of burning it all, it just creates this whole little solar system in front of our ship. Might just be, I don't know. I also don't know what a small sun will do to the Trailblazer ship.
Right. The gravity involved the Trailblazer ship probably wouldn't be able to withstand that.
And would be kind of hot.
That too.
We would have daylight a lot.
A lot of daylight at the front of the ship. Yeah.
We could sit behind the window that as we're doing now, just watching the sun being really close by.
Yeah. And the Solar Flare Club. Can you imagine they might be interested to see what kind of solar flares result from a star being pushed through space, sucking up all kinds of things that it normally wouldn't come into contact with.
Wow, but that would be, this is an argument in favor of this.
Well, from that solar flare club, yeah.
I would just imagine if the because we'll be at full speed again, right? So this will be a sun traveling through space at full speed. That will have some special effects.
Indeed, and you know how the constellations we've seen the last few weeks, that would make it for a very interesting sight to other people out in the universe, once the light reaches them.
True, actually, you'll have a constellation that has one of the stars moving through it.
Yeah.
Cool. Could we have the bow and arrow, and the arrow is actually being shot?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll find out what is going to happen. I guess if they have any success in trying some of these techniques.
Presumably we will. I mean, it'd be kind of funny if one day we just wake up and, we're home now, and we missed. They didn't announce. They do whatever they do. I mean, okay, the thing with the star on front we'd notice, but they do the Spore Drive, and we go to sleep, wake up, we're home, cool. I mean, actually cool, but also maybe we don't get to find out what happened. Hopefully, we'll get to find out what happened.
Yeah, that would be an anticlimax. If we need a bit of a build up.
Yeah.
We're almost done and so on.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's being worked on, and then it's ready to be.
We've tested it, and we're going to be home next week, and something like that. That's going to be.
Well, ideally they'll time it nicely with our own schedule for recording.
That's true. Yeah, I mean we know somebody in a passenger council. We can stall or.
Maybe exactly the 50th birthday for the captain. Keep in mind if we do somehow a really good job of that, maybe we get some more sway, like the passenger council gets some more sway with the captain.
True, actually. And also, like, if they're saying, hey, we're ready, we can go now, and then you can go like, but we didn't decide on a name. Mm-hmm. And then, stall there for 2 more days until it's Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I would say we move over to the very short listener email that we got.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was really short this week. Shall I read it? Do you want to? Okay, so I can read it. So from Harold17, and Harold17 wrote, did you meet any non-interesting people?
Any non-interesting?
Non-interesting, well, I guess uninteresting. People who are not interesting, I think was the point. Yes.
Yeah.
Not everyone aboard is an engaging conversationalist,
Zion.
Yeah, pretty boring. Albert and Mel.
Celine and Celine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the only interesting thing is that they both have the same name.
Right, but this does sound a bit mean to say, it's like it's not the job of other people to be entertaining or interesting, but still you meet people and sometimes you have really interesting conversations. You're excited to talk to them again, and other folk, it's fine, but you have no interest in talking to them again. So we're saying their names now, which hopefully they won't hear this, or if they hear it, hopefully they won't be offended.
I mean, they're still nice.
Yeah.
So let's not mix that up.
Yeah, we're not talking about bad people or horrible people or anything like that.
Do they have any hobbies? No. Do they have any favorite books? No. Mm-hmm. Do they ask any questions? No.
Right.
Are they nice? Yeah, they're nice.
Mm-hmm.
Just not very interested.
Yeah.
All right.
And keep in mind, interest. So whether something is interesting or not, that's a matter of perspective. So we didn't find them interesting, but other people maybe would. Vice versa, to other folk, I may be a very boring person indeed.
On the other side, we're like, they're on a space tour.
Indeed.
I think by default, anybody in the ship is interesting.
2 folk not on the space tour, indeed.
I think we're just having, a 50-year-old young captain and a spacecraft designer. Those are all references.
Sure.
I think these are actually super interesting people.
Let's not go that far.
Okay. Okay. Well.
Anyways.
But how did Harold17 email us?
Mm-hmm. Harold17 wrote to michaellasagna5@gmail.com, and we would like it if our listeners did the same. And in the subject line included the number 265, so that they could tell us, first of all, that they could confirm this episode successfully went back in time, and also that they could tell us about all the other possible ways of traveling through space.
True.
Because
maybe they have an idea.
Exactly. And also, that's good.
Yeah,
they can tell us that.
That's enough.
Yeah.
The rest we
don't have to tell us anything else.
Nope. All right. And thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.